past performance, but also any other benchmarking that we can do. So we have a lot of data sets that show us what other councils of similar sizes and demographics are working on, and then we look and make sure every year our KPIs make sense and are actually useful in terms of determining how well we perform as a council. So this document looks, evidences the changes that we've made based on those considerations. Not all areas of work have had changes to the targets, but this document highlights where we have got changes. So the first one there, the priority one, the staff turnover figure. We've had a number of conversations here about staff turnover, and I think, we have debates around whether high turnover is good or bad, and vice versa. And I think what this new marker is, which is the voluntary turnover figure, which will be contextual for this year, as we get that benchmarking and that baseline, tells us how many people are leaving off their own bat. So resignations, retirements, etc. The full turnover rate tells us the number of people that leave the council entirely, but that voluntary rate gives us that people who may be leaving for their own reasons. So I think it just gives us a little bit more context in some of those considerations. And you will see in the quarterly report, which is coming next, what's that looking like in Q1 for all of these. As I go through, please ask questions rather than waiting to the end. I think it's probably the most useful in this report. The next one, in terms of ensuring our services are efficient and accessible, what we're doing this year is resetting the 25-26 target as a contextual target to establish that baseline. We've had a lot of changes to our telephony system. So at the end of February last year, we put in anywhere 365. We're making more changes to the management system and the telephony system. So this figure will reflect what we're at now, and then moving on 26, 27, 27, 28, we'll use that baseline figure to set more concrete targets. Okay. Digital online transactions. We're not changing the target for this year because we haven't got any works planned in terms of the digitisation. However, in 2026, when we've launched our CRM, we do expect to have some changes in terms of the outputs and the KPIs there. So it's highlighting here that actually in 2026, that's when we're going to look at it and change that target. So that's why that one's in there. The number of unique users to the website, we've had various debates over the months and years around this one, and I think it was an unreliable target. It didn't tell us an awful lot in terms of how people were engaging with the council. We weren't confident that the numbers were right based on how it was assessed and the Google metrics, etc. So we took the decision to take this one out and use other indicators to measure how people are accessing digital services.
Thanks, Jodie. By cutting it completely, though, can you point us to other metrics that you will use? Because there, it's disappearing, and you've mentioned that it will use other metrics. What other metrics are we going to use? Because to cut something like that completely, that's actually going to leave quite a big black hole. Because actually, it's one of the ones that people look for. We're moving to a digital council. We've reduced some services face-to-face, rightly or wrongly, but that's the number that people look for. And if that's gone, can you tell us which metrics we need to be looking for that's going to cover that particular area?
Yeah, what we'll be looking at is how people interact with us rather than that passive use of a website, which is the information, advice and guidance that we put on there. So when people need to interact with us, that's the point at which we will have a contact, and that's what we're measuring, rather than the visitors to the website who might be looking at that for a number of different reasons, who might have clicked on it by mistake, who might not be actually going there for a reason. And I think what's more interesting for us is why people are coming to talk to us, either over the phone. We've got the new digital desks in the library, or doing those digital transactions. So the actual visitors to the website became quite meaningless, particularly when you think about the fact that we've got bots using it as well. It's not always very actually relating to people who are accessing our services. So it's the interaction bit that's more interesting. So this is around planning control enforcement. What we've seen in previous years, because we've used a year-to-date figure which is cumulative, is that when we have peaks and troughs of activity, say something's particularly busy in one quarter, the rest of the year always goes out of whack because you can't see then how it impacts. So we are keeping the year-to-date figure as well, but also adding in that quarter and isolation figure so we can see what the overall picture is, but actually, are we catching up with ourselves? Is there something off, or was it a blip? So it's just giving a bit more information really for that one. We are just changing this next target around the fact we've the guidance has changed from 24 months to 12 months, and so we don't have that annual comparison for this next year. It was a document released last year, so we've just had to adjust things based on that change from 24 to 12 months because we can't compare like for like. Priority 3, this is around disabled facilities grants, and again the changes have been made in line with the national targets. So we had contextual figures last year and put the new targets in to link in with that national guidance. The number of people accessing the museum's collection, we've changed the target because we've changed the system by which we count people in. We had concerns last year that the method we were using wasn't necessarily reliable. The figures looked too high, honestly. So we've changed that. We've made it a bit more accurate, and we've set a different target reflecting that. We do think it will end up in a reduction, but actually it will be more accurate, I think, in terms of, I think sometimes the counting were people going in and out again and a few times. So this is talking about unique visitors. J2, I don't think anybody understood the Net Promoter Score. I think we had various conversations around it at this group, and the fluctuations were difficult to get your head around. So we are still using, I've clarified with Joe today, still using the national survey, but we'll interpret the data without that Net Promoter Score. So each answers to the questions will be analysed based on us rather than that net score, which skews things a little.
Is there I fully accept that actually when people use that what do they call it, the Net Promoter Score, nobody knows what it is, mm-hmm. But it's a national standard. Mm-hmm. By marking our own homework with our own standards, isn't that sort of taking us away from being able to judge against other people and how good or bad or indifferent we are?
I think you've got to take a pragmatic view. If we don't understand the figure, then what use is it? And yes, you can benchmark, but actually, again, you're never going to be benchmarking a leisure centre that's exactly the same as another leisure centre. You know, the demographics will always be different. The situation.
Yeah, the argument with that is you can do that for any walk of life, any council. We get rid of benchmarking altogether because nobody's identical, but it's the best of a bad system. By coming out of the system, we then become an outlier rather than we can't do any meaningful judgment then. I mean, I accept what you're saying, but I also think by coming out of national programmes or not using national programmes, not coming out, but not using the standards across that everybody else is judged by, why are we doing that? Why are we coming away from it? We're just setting, it goes back to marking our own homework. And that makes me nervous when there's a national standard out there. Shouldn't we be actually doing more to encourage people to learn what the Net Promoter Score is rather than coming out of it? I mean,
when we looked at the Net Promoter Score, we always did well against the national average. So I don't think there was that concern that benchmarking we were trying to hide against the benchmarking. I think it's trying to make performance accessible and understandable, and I think we can only report on so much, and I think that the reporting and the KPIs that we have in these reports, I think it needs to be simpler to understand, and I think, in my view, the balance of that simplicity is outweighs that benchmarking.
Hi, just a comment that I think it's a little bit simplistic to say that we'd be marking our own homework. Isn't it rather like any large corporation would have key performance indicators in particular areas? You wouldn't say that they were marking their own homework. They would say they're setting targets that they want to achieve.
Let's be clear, the administration is doing the homework and we are marking it using metrics that we understand. Should we move on to the next one? Thank you, Georgie.
Yeah, so recycling figures, there aren't any changes this year, but this is just to highlight 27-28. We've got the anticipated deposit return scheme, so we are altering the figures from there on in, and because this is a 3-year report, that's why that factors into this one. But this year it won't be impacted.
Just on that one, and I think we all encourage the deposit return scheme. Are we sure that that's actually going to happen? Because there's very limited sort of legislation or green papers or anything like that suggesting that that's actually going to happen by 27-28. Can anybody answer that? Because I'm not aware of any green paper that's gone out about that. Never mind a white paper.
The answer is I don't know the answer to that, but in terms of the metrics and the KPIs we're looking at now, that's the anticipation. So I think we will revise this every year, and if next year it turns out that scheme isn't happening, then that 27-28 figure will be adjusted accordingly. So I think at the moment our understanding is that that's planned. These things always change and delayed, or there will be changes to these things, but at the moment that's our understanding. That's the planned date.
Yes, of course.
There's no government policy that says that they're even planning to do that by 27-28. It should be all the industry talking about it at the moment. I think I support it actually. There's no concrete points behind it.
In that case, by way of a cabinet update at our next meeting, could we have an answer to Councillor Stubbs' question in relation to the future anticipated policy of the government? I used to know a lot more about government policy than I do now, but I'm certain that an answer is out there and that our officers and that the administration will want to justify the inclusion of that in our indicators. Should we move on? Last one then.
Yep, so this is car parking usage, which we've moved to contextual for this year, and that's to reflect the fact that we've had a lot of change in our car parking habits. We've got the first phase of the regen within the town centre with Castle Car Park, and we've got that change in capacity for future demand that we expect over the next couple of years. So we've taken the view to shift this to contextual this year, and then from there again establish that baseline by which we can think about the next couple of years how things will change.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bryan.
Thank you, Chair. Georgie, you mentioned CRM implementation. I just wondered if you could give a status on what that is right now.
I don't have the detail, I'm afraid, personally, although, Roger, you might in terms of Customer Hub.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, we can take that away and ask Sam Clark, the Service Director for Digital, what the programme is.
Yes, please. That'd be really interesting to see, please, Chair. Just a written update.
We may come back to it under the work programme, but we had anticipated, we'd hoped we'd get Sam to come here at one of our meetings. We may even achieve that at the next meeting, in which case he'll be able to give you that information directly. If not, again, we'll ask for that to be reported to us.
Thank you.
Councillor Sweeney.
Yeah, in defence of Sammy, that's on leave this week, which is why it's on here.
Okay, thank you very much, Georgie, for the comprehensive report. That helps us better to understand our next item, which is number 6, the quarterly performance review report and KPIs themselves for the first quarter. As is normal, we'll look at the report first. Does anyone have any comments or questions on the report? And if not, we'll move straight on to the indicators. Excitingly, thanks to some of the changes, we have purple indicators. If you see purple on the report, it's because there's a trend that can't be tracked because of the changes that have been made to the indicators. If anyone would like to stop on a green indicator, they're welcome to do so. Otherwise, we will head for the red. As we commonly do. And the first one that I can see that's red is ID 1.8A, the total number of digital online transactions. Councillor Sweeney. Councillor Sweeney is just catching up. He's got it in front of him now.
Yeah. Thank you. This is the one that, is it good or is it bad? We have this discussion every time we have this meeting. Should it be higher or should it be lower? What's good, what's bad? We don't really know. If less people are using it, is that because they're getting directed to the right people first of all, so they need to go on that? You know, it's one of these you can look at it various different ways. And I think we've had this discussion a number of times, and I still haven't got a more concrete answer than that, really. Georgie, do you want to lead on this at all? Yeah.
Yeah, so some of this is around the deflection and the information that we've got online. So we do expect that decrease in the JARDU forms because people are finding the answers to their questions in different ways. What we just need to be careful of is that we use this KPI in conjunction with others, for example, our phone calls and you know, how we are processing that information. So it's slightly under where it was this time last year, but we are working on those new elements, which Sam will take us through next time.
Okay, yes, as our officer said, if you look at the next performance indicator, which has a positive yearly trend, that is the total number of calls coming into the customer hub, and we do know that customers are receiving those responses in other ways. A couple of pages ahead, there's the first of our purple indicators, and then a little bit further along is ID 1.4A, the total percent of materials collected for recycling and composting, verified via WDF. You'll note that the target was 51%, and the achieved was 50.99, which is, I know that our portfolio holder in that service area definitely loses sleep. Councillor Sweeney, do you have an answer to give in relation to that?
Yeah, I have. It's daft, isn't it? Going from green to red for one, you know, and it's just daft. Yeah, absolutely. The reason I'm going to give you is even more bizarre. Apparently this year was a lot drier than last year. So garden waste is a lot lighter this year than it was last year, because grass is lighter when it's dry. Yeah, exactly. And so, and it sounds strangely logical, doesn't it? You know, in a bizarre sort of way. That's the reason I've been given. I think I'm happy with that reason, to be honest.
And in praise of Councillor Hutchison, if you look at the next page of statistics, there's a whole page of 100% against street cleanliness, which I know will be warmly welcomed by other members. Going forward then, the next one that is red, there isn't one. I think that's the last one. I've got nothing else appearing in red apart from there's a purple one there, as we discussed earlier, I think. We may not. Did we discuss referrals to occupational health in the last report?
No, this was the disabled facilities grant. So it's not occupational health as in internal staff, it's the disabled facilities grants. So things like stair lifts, accommodations to people's living.
Thanks for the explanation. Are there any other questions members would like to ask of officers? If not, we'll move on then. Item number 7 is the commercial strategy update. At the very end of the document pack, we have, excitingly, we received a question from a member of the public, and it does relate to this report, but we will come back to the question at the end. So if you wanted to flick forward and read what our resident had to say, you can do. Otherwise, I will ask Councillor Sweeney to introduce the report that's been prepared.
Yeah, the report is really self-explanatory. A lot of it repeated on the town deal and high street fund stuff later on, I think. But it just gives you an idea of where we're looking at. I mean, the pet cremations, I think, has been quite a big story for local, and I think it's the fact that we guarantee that your dead cat you send away, the ashes you get back is the same cat, and things like that we can do in a bespoke service in Newcastle. I think it's gone. I hear it's gone down very, very well with our residents. We're obviously building some more things on the old Zanzibar site, some industrial units on the Zanzibar site. We can't have enough industrial units. They are phenomenally popular, and they're starter places for people to build their businesses. And everything else is written down here, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for our portfolio holder, Councillor Stubbs?
To clarify, and I think it might be Simon that needs to answer it, the building on the old Zanzibar site, is that a mixture of residential and industrial units, or is it just industrial units? Because I seem to remember a newspaper report this week about the planning was going through for the residential. So I should know, but is there a commercial element to that as well? There is. Okay, thank you.
Simon didn't even need to answer, but that's understood. Yes, I think that the commercial end of things in that area have already been through the planning process, and it's the residential that will be forthcoming. If there are no other questions relating to the commercial strategy, we'll move on. Item number 8 is civic pride. Councillor Sweeney.
Yeah, I think Roger's here tonight to talk about this, but I think there's one paragraph, 1.3. Civic pride aims to create a strong sense of belonging to and pride in our fantastic borough. It's a response to feedback from residents and captures a lot of the work that already goes on by the council and its partners under a unified Pride in Newcastle badge. There's also a call to arms for people of all ages to get involved. Now, I think there's nothing more encouraging when I drive around Clayton, I see bagfuls of rubbish that people have picked up and stopped by the bins for that. And this is what civic pride is about: having pride in where you live and helping to maintain Newcastle as a great place to live and work. The actual policy itself, I'm going to pass to you, Roger, if you want to lead on it, because you've got the blurb better than I have.
Thanks, Councillor Sweeney. Yeah, I think you've just summarised what it's all about. We're looking to encourage everybody that lives or works or visits the borough to get involved in strengthening its reputation as a place which is clean, safe and friendly. And to do that, we've drafted a strategy. It's based on the County Council's community strategy, which was launched last year, and has 3 key themes. It's great places where we live, connected communities, and the way the council listens, talks and acts and interacts with our communities. So we've taken some of the sort of Staffordshire-wide consultation that the county did, and then sort of drilled down to the local level in Newcastle, to sort of gauge the views of people, how they interact with the council, how they'd like to interact with the council, how they'd like to get involved in making the borough cleaner, safer and friendlier. So the strategy encapsulates that, it provides a delivery plan for it, and is now out to consultation. So consultation is live on the website now. We're doing consultation with some of the key partners in the Newcastle Partnership Board, and as part of that consultation, this report's coming to all 3 scrutiny committees this month in September, and then we're going to culminate with an event in the Guildhall in October in Newcastle and in Kisgrove Town Hall also in October, just to finish off that consultation and engage any other views that are coming forward. So really, the purpose of it coming to the committee tonight is for members of this committee to feedback on the draft strategy and provide any ideas of how it could be strengthened, improved, or whether people feel that it's good as it is. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Are there any questions or comments that members of this committee would like to make? I think, as Roger mentioned, it will be coming to other scrutiny committees who will also have an opportunity to comment. Councillor Grocott.
Thank you, Chair. Just kind of comment actually, Roger, on this. A lot of people the 2 wards I went to, because they're Cheston and Red Street, didn't really know much about it at the time. So I think we do need to get more into schools and different places, not just on the website, but possibly with community centres and things like that to promote it when it comes out, especially ones in their areas. It's basically schools and basically the fire office. So and obviously Aspire and their own officers. So anything like that will be good. And obviously, the more we can get, the better for everybody. Okay.
Okay. Chair, can I come back? Yeah. Yes, Councillor Grocott. I think we're in the kind of infancy of the strategy at the moment, so we've been running the Civic Pride events to try and get that engagement going. But you're right, I think as it starts to develop and as the strategy becomes formally adopted and then starts to be delivered, I think that'll be the opportunity then for communities, schools, groups, whatever, to get involved. But we're really looking to the community to take the lead on this rather than the council take it out to the communities. You know, we're doing that sort of initial launch and engagement now, but ultimately we want this to be owned by the community and for schools and other groups to actually take ownership of their neighbourhoods and wards and get involved in making them cleaner, safer and friendlier. Thanks.
Thank you for that question and answer. Are there other comments or concerns? If not, then I'll say thank you very much for the report and to express my delight at being able to stand shoulder to shoulder with Councillor Sweeney at the launch event in Westlands and Clayton. We picked a lot of litter that day. We enjoyed ourselves, and I hope that as the strategy is agreed and developed, that it will come to pass, that the community will start to take the lead on that. And thanks very much for Councillor Grocott for raising it. Okay, in that case, we'll move on to item number 9, which is another irregular report at the committee. It's the Town Deal and Future High Street Funds update. Councillor Sweeney.
Thank you, Chairman. If you're lucky enough to go to Eton next week, you'll hear the same story from me, because it's on that agenda as well. You lucky people. Yeah, I'll just do a quick fly-by-night thing through. Future High Street Fund, now that's all spent. Works the digital screen benching and plans were completed by the end of August. That's not strictly true, because they're waiting for the concrete to set. They've waited 3 weeks apparently for concrete to set in this world, so we're waiting for that before the digital screen. But the money's also been spent. That's gone. It's gone out the company. Astley Place, fabulous picture of Astley Place here. All looking to commence in October, so another month or so, we'll bid like we might start seeing cranes. Because I think cranes are a great signature sign that things are happening. Ride Park, Castle Car Park, the new car park is now opened and it's full. I used it on Saturday. Tremendous facility. McCarthy and Stone, again, that's gone through planning and looking to start in the autumn of 2025, which is more or less where we are now. Ride Park, the works in the town centre, again, all happening in late 25. So that's coming on nicely. Car park. Now there's a picture here of the Midway car park. Now I've always banged on about this, and I will do again. We've got another picture floating about, which isn't on here, showing from the ground upwards, and it looks even better. To be honest with you, it's a really good picture. Astley Performance Arts Centre up and running. Nutton Cheston. You can see the work that's being done there. The Enterprise Centre, they've got a problem the county have with connecting to a substation, which I think has been built, it was ready to go, but they've got no electric. So they're waiting for that. Plans Village Hall, I say, are at crossroads. If we can't get anybody to run it, it won't happen. But what we do, put industrial units on there with some community space in it as well. So sort of kill two birds with one stone. The Whammy football ground, that's going well. Newcastle Town running that for us. Crossroads Tristan is coming on. Zanzibar Enterprise units, Mike, they're there. Picture 2.24. So they're ready to go. They go by the rigger. Walking, cycling, vision, the work outside there is almost finished now. There's just a bit on Hassel Street left to do. Sustainable travel, we're waiting for the Keele University. I think there's a bit of a land ownership problem there at the gateway, but that's coming on. Digital society's up and running, EV charging points, digital infrastructure. These four people, Silverdale Athletic Football Club, Marshall Community Centre, Port Hill Park, and North Lane Community Centre jumped in. We asked for people who wanted like a better system that the contractors would support more as a sort of social impact type support. And we had four people we could use. Unfortunately, 4 people applied. So that's what they are. That doesn't mean there's not others. There are plenty of others, but these 4 are going to get the enhanced one because they come in first. Chatley Valley, I was up there last week or the week before. All the levelling, the platforms to build the things are all done. And the good news is they're still talking about 1,800 jobs. There's no, I might have new 1,500. No, it's still 1,800. So that's a fabulous site. I think the station is finally sorted out. I'm sure if you don't agree with Mike, you'll come back and I'll let Simon take that. Canal pathways, I think there's a bit of extra money. Can we talk that up? I've always said that the canals are a big bonus for Kidsgrove, and of course Brindley's buried in Newchapel Churchyard, and Brindley and Telford are the great canal builders. So he's really an important man. Community having kids, enterprise units on the Meadows Highway. These are all tied in with the reallocation of the money, and that's about where we are. And if you have a look on the next page, you'll see the total for the High Street Fund left over is nil. So that's nice to see. And I'll take any questions. If I can't answer them, I saw the young man on my right probably can.
Thank you very much for that report, Councillor Sweeney. Yes, this is an update on a process that we followed very closely as a committee, so I think we're all familiar with it. Are there any questions or comments on this iteration of it?
Can I just comment? What we have tried to do is try to involve scrutiny committees with this, so that you know as much as we do. We haven't tried to hide anything, so it's all up front with what we're doing. Sorry.
Phenomenal. Would anybody care to ask a question or to express an opinion? Councillor Grocott.
No, actually, Chair. It's just something I asked for last time. Cross Street and obviously in Chesterton at the moment. Can we have some nice pictures of some houses? They're all basically up now, so that'd be nice. Okay.
I agree with you, Councillor Grocott. We voted through the minutes earlier in the meeting. We have asked for pictures. We are the J. Jonah Jameson of Newcastle Borough Council, and we want pictures of Chesterton. So I am certain that our portfolio holder, if not our officer, will because the other pictures are fantastic. We just want those. We want Chesterton pics. Councillor Waring, I saw you next.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, just a comment. The work's actually started in the town centre at Kidsgrove now as well. They're in the process of refurbishing the toilets. So, I mean, that's the first step, but obviously it's the first of many, but it's long overdue and very welcome. Thanks.
Excellent. Are there any further comments or questions on that item? Yes, of course. If you'd like to conclude.
Yeah, young man on my right has just whispered in my ear that there's a time lag with these reports being written and today sort of thing. So some of these things might be about a day when I say it's been done. That's the problem.
Missed the good weather. The pictures of Chesterton are now going to be overcast and autumnal, aren't they? Okay, that's the end of. Councillor Wheeldon, by all means, please.
Just to think anybody who's been involved in this group of projects on the council as a whole should be actually commended, because to have 0 and not a minus in remaining is exemplary. And I think we've had great support from all the officers to do with finance, great support from the council as a whole, and an input from everybody who was involved. And the consultation process have been thorough. And I just think it's absolutely wonderful that we're being so creative when money is quite tight in other boroughs. So congratulations all round, really.
Money's tight everywhere. Thank you, Councillor Wheeldon, for that timely reminder. It is an important strand of work, and in general, it's been very impressive to see that money go out the door. Councillor Waring.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, Jones just reminded me, talking about consultation, there is another consultation that's going to take place in what was Brown's Garage on the 18th of October between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m, if anybody's interested. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Waring. Any more for any more? In that case, that item is closed. Item number 10 is the work programme, which is in our agenda. If anybody has any comments or additions for it, now would be a good time. If not, we'll move on to item 11, which is yes.
Is he on it?
Is he on it?
Work programme.
I thought he was. Yes.
Sorry,
We will
Chair, that
ask-
was
sorry,
all I was going to add.
We will confirm a time for an officer to speak to us about digitalisation, including the matter that Councillor Bryan referred to earlier. Item number 11 is public question time. We have at this meeting received a question from a member of the public. He's not able to be with us tonight, but the question has been printed in our agenda. Could I ask our officer, Mr. McKenney, to answer the question, and then, if it's possible, for a write-up of the answer that he gives to be returned to the resident? I know that would be appreciated.
Do you want to read it out?
The question is as printed. If somebody would like to read the question, that's he wants it reading it. I mean, it's been made available. We'll read it into the record if Councillor Sweeney would like to do so. But I would like an answer to the question. It seems to me that it's not one that will provoke a huge amount of debate from members, but you will have an opportunity if you want to comment on it after it's been read and answered. That's the protocol. It would be a lot easier if the member of the public was able to come in, but they've not been able to. So, Councillor Sweeney, read the question. Mr. McKenney, please answer the question.
I think the last email I saw from the gentleman was he wanted it reading out, so he's got the he's an interest anyway. So okay, energy costs for UK businesses are the highest in the developed world. Several local businesses or businesses employing residents of Newcastle under Lyme have closed or faced closure, in part due to the cost of energy. The Silverdale and Apedale mines and collieries have long since closed as generators of wealth and employment in the area. While the aim of rehabilitating the sites as country parks is laudable, the parks have recently become littered with drug paraphernalia, broken bottles, and antisocial behaviour. There may be an opportunity to return the land to a use in keeping with its heritage, generation of energy and wealth. The modern colliery is the wind or solar farm. I would like the Council to carry out an assessment of the economic viability of investing in wind and solar generation at the Silverdale and Apedale sites, preserving the Heritage Centre, to generate income for the Council, and in particular to use a portion of the revenue to offer grants to local energy intensive businesses to defray energy costs in order to retain and attract investment and employment. Thank you for your consideration. So that's the question, Mr. Donald. And do you want to briefly answer, and you'll have a letter to him in due course?
We'll respond directly to the resident, but the very quick answer is we don't own the park. They're owned by Staffordshire County Council, so we have no we can issue no direction over the use of that land.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stubbs.
Just a comment, and it's a naughty comment, Chair, before I make it. So we'd like to think that a reform-led county council would open a wind or an energy farm on that area, do we? That's not going to happen anytime soon.
Don't think that's for our office to answer.
I don't think that's appropriate for me to answer. I'm sorry, Councillor Stubbs.
Thank you very much. In all seriousness, I do encourage members of the public to ask questions. If it was something that fell within our area of responsibility, I know that we would want to look very seriously at it. But it being the case that our officer has given the answer that he has, I'll propose to end the item there. The date of our next meeting will be the 4th of December. But before we close, Councillor Sweeney would like to say something.
Yeah, thank you. Mrs. Wilkes, the young lady sitting at the end there, she's leaving the organisation, and this is her. I think this is her last meeting of FAPS. Still other meetings to go to, but this is the last meeting of FAPS. And perhaps. Thank you, Sarah.
Can I join Councillor Sweeney in thanking Sarah for all of her good service to this committee? I'm certain that her service to the rest of the council will be recognised at the appropriate time. But thank you very much for all that we know that she has done in support of our activities as a scrutiny committee. As I said, the next meeting, by which time she will have left us, will be on the 4th of December. We'll also have had a national government budget by then, and we'll be closer to knowing, for example, the local government financial settlement, among other things. So thank you very much to everyone for attending tonight. Thanks to our officers for their good counsel, and good night.